Hello, my friend. This is Clyde. Let us talk about a biblical story. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, three Hebrew boys who found themselves one day with a huge challenge. And that challenge was that the king of that country, Nebuchadnezzar, who was a heathen king who worshipped many gods, he had created a golden statue, a huge golden statue. And he made a law that at the sound of the orchestra, everybody all over his kingdom should bow down and worship the idol. Everybody? Well, there were these three guys, and they were in government service, but they decided they were not going to do it. And so when the event occurred, they stood their ground. Needless to say, they were reported to the king, and the king called them into a meeting and decided to give them a last chance. He said, guys, just do it. Just bow down before my statue. Listen, if you don't bow down, the punishment is that you are going to be thrown in the fiery furnace. And now let me see if your God, who you claim to be powerful, if he will deliver you from me and from that burning furnace. The fellows, they didn't even think about it. They said to him, King, we're not being disrespectful, but we will not bow. We will not bow, and we will trust our God to deliver us. But if he does not deliver us, we will still not bow. It says that even if God does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image of gold that you have set up. Stand your ground. Stand your ground. You see, these boys, they served God, and God had made part of his rule that they must not worship any other god, and they must not bow down before any idol or any statue. To do that would be to disobey God, and God would have had to deal with them in his own way. But to give in to the king, it would mean that they would just be bowing on the outside. Then they could probably ask God to forgive them and everything would be all right. But would it? Would everything be all right if they disobeyed God and bowed down to the golden statue to save their lives? Think about it. If they bow down, they would live. If they don't bow down, they would die. Was it worth it to stand their ground? Was it worth it to stand up to this mighty king and insist that they would not bow? As a son of God, you can surely acknowledge that there are times that you are faced with situations, sometimes attractive, sometimes threatening, but you have been faced with situation over and over again where you are challenged to bow down, you are challenged to give in, you are challenged to compromise your faith in God. What do you do? What do you do when, as a man, you are faced with an attractive sexual proposition of any kind, and only you and the person involved will know? Will you bow down, or will you stand your ground and honor God? What would be the consequence if you bow down? You know, many times, for example, what we do is that when we are faced with those threatening situations or those attractive temptations, we say to ourselves, if we do it, we can always go back to God and confess and ask his forgiveness. if we do it, surely enough, God will give me a pass. And I will promise him that I will not do it again. But my friend, it's not like that. It's not like that. God requires me and he requires of you that when we are faced with challenges, with choices where we have to choose between him and whatever else is on the table, that we stand our ground. Today, my friend, I'm saying to you, no matter how dreadful the proposition might be, a threat to your very life, stand your ground. No matter how attractive the offer might be, and you will probably gain some benefit of one kind or the other, if it is in disobedience to God, stand your ground. Let it be known that you are a son of God who, when you are challenged between your faith and something else, that you stand your ground. The God you serve, he will be pleased and he will honor you. Remember, stand your ground.